Rolling through the city like a vision in a dream. Plans unfolding, and we plotting on the scene. Blueprints drawn, now we're building up our faith. 3D models laid out, got this spot, can't hesitate. Concrete rhythms, throwing students peanut butter. Layer by layer, yeah, we rising from the clutter. I need this vision, like a map out.
Hello yet again, and welcome back to Civil Visualizing with Sam. This is episode 8, and in this episode, I'm going to take this amazing 3D base model from my friends over at Classen Graphics. That's Marvin Classen. They do incredible visualization work. Reach out to them if you have a project like this. This project, I believe, is in Florida, and that's where Marvin and his team is located. So link to them in the notes of this video. This is like a kind of a peanut double roundabout type project, which is really cool. And it's a good base model because it's not too big, but also incorporates some aerial. It also is going to incorporate some trees. We've got some buildings in our base model. We can add some more buildings in Civil Engine. The striping is mostly already done. We're also going to be able to leverage some water, which always makes things look nice, and use some of the new area tools. This is Civil Engine Beta 1.5-ish. We're in the winter of 2025. Our launch is coming up in the spring of 2025, so we're just a couple months away from our poke launch. This is still an early version. Things may look a little different when you're looking at Civil Engine, but this still will be a really good opportunity to show what Civil Engine can do, especially when you have a wonderful base model like this. I do want to caveat, you'll see we got some pinks and reds. Sometimes you need to do this in SketchUp to just kind of differentiate the different materials when you texture them in Civil Engine. And I did spend an hour or two, because when I first brought this into Civil Engine, a lot of the faces were flipped. When that happens, everything's white. It's all the same base color. So you do need to flip the faces. It's a little tedious, but that's what was necessary before I got to this visualization step in Civil Engine. And when we bring it in, hopefully everything's been flipped and corrected. If not, we may need to do some more revisions, but just a heads up that you may experience that if you are focusing on the SketchUp to Civil Engine workflow. All right, so I also got the clock over here on the left. It's just past 4 o'clock. And so we're going to just keep tabs on how long this takes. It shouldn't take too long. I think there will be, placing trees, that's going to be faster now because we have the areas tool. Placing paths is going to take a minute. Texturing is going to probably take the longest. When I say paths, I mean traffic paths. But overall, this should be pretty efficient, especially compared to some of the larger models that we do here with the Civil Visualizing with Sam series. All right, so we're going to export. It's showing up over here in my other screen, but I can pull it up and show you what these settings are. We want to uncheck two-sided faces. You can try and do that. That may be helpful, but it's going to at least double the size of your model and your export and import times, and it's going to make things pretty messy. So if you can do it without exporting two-sided faces, I would recommend it. You do want to export texture maps. Centimeters is fine, and we're going to push OK. All right, I'm also going to show the writing entities. I'm going to just shut up and speed this up, but just to give you an idea, this might take a minute or two.
So I want this civil engineering, flowing lines are intertwined. Grinding hard, yeah, you know this is prime time. Transportation dreams, yeah, we're pushing through the lanes.
All right, so it took a couple minutes. We have just under 1,000 faces. And one thing to note is when you do have a base model like this in SketchUp, sometimes you'll use assets from the SketchUp warehouse, and if they're not optimized, like let's say these light poles over here, if they have a couple thousand polygons each and then you use a lot of them, and then these buildings, that's where these numbers really start to add up. It's usually not from our core base model textures like asphalt, concrete, and soil. It's usually from these imports. So just be mindful of that. That's going to increase your export times, your import times, and also slow things down when you are in Civil Engine. All right, so this is Civil Engine. Again, this is technically it's 0.7.5. I'm calling it Beta 1.5. And we're going to start off by importing base model. I found that OBJ, it's called peanut roundabouts, and I want to switch this to centimeters. Everything else we should be able to leave as is, and then finish import.
Building up a future, washing away the pains. 3D views, envisioning the road ahead. With every single step, I know an is led.
Alright, so that took about 10 minutes to import into Civil Engine. So just expect that, be prepared to be patient if you need to. And alright, so things are looking bright, which is what we expected. And now we can start assigning these textures and get us something more photorealistic. You'll also notice the aerials came in very dark. Actually, maybe I'll show you how to do that part first. Alright, so I have this folder over here. This, when you export an OBJ from SketchUp, it's going to give you a folder of the same name as the OBJ with all the textures in here. We could also view icons if we want to see them. You'll see here one of these does not look like the other, and it is also, if we go back to details, it is also very large. So if we sort by size, you're going to see here this one's much bigger. It's already a dark aerial, and then there's something that happens in the conversion into Civil Engine that makes it darker, something that we're looking into. What we need to do is just brighten this fella up. So let's go to adjustments. Let's just make it very bright using these sliders. This is an art, and you can test various things to see what works for you. And then we can just save it as a copy. Let's do it in the same folder. So now when we go back to Civil Engine, go to Hierarchy, Base Models, drop this down, and then we need to find that same texture, which is right here. Go to Import New on the left. And it's set to PNG by default. Let's set that to JPEG. And we have those two, so we want to choose the bright one and then do Open. Alright, so just like that, we fixed our aerial. So not too crazy. I also want to change this to white. And for whatever reason, that takes a while too, especially on larger models. Alright, so this is looking good. Now we need to identify these other textures and change them as necessary. So we want to, most of them are probably going to show up down here at the bottom for me because I applied just various colors. Just easier for me to identify. So we want to go to over here on the left, the details panel. I'm going to start assigning these various grass type textures. Again, this is in Florida, not as much sand like we would have here in Nevada. All right, again, that's too much sand. Let's try one of these grasses. All right, now we're talking. So now let's do this other one. And for whatever reason, there's just this bug where it retains that tint and you have to kind of slowly and patiently move it back to white. Again, we know these things exist and we apologize and hope to fix them.
Envisioning the road ahead. With every single step, I know an is led. I need this vision. I can map out in the night. Survey the world. Make it all feel so right. I want this. I need this. Together moving forward, building never fall. Chilling out this groove, got the vision for it all. Smoothing out the cities like a canvas for our fate. Collapsing every detail so you know we can create.
All right, so we are just over a half hour in. I have things textured. If I want to spend more time texturing, I could. I mean, there's an issue here. You can see these stripes got applied the same texture as one of the grass areas, which isn't ideal. You could either fix that by re-importing your base model, which would require retexturing because we don't have refreshing imports yet. But or you could just use like the path tool and do a stripe along there to clean it up. There's some other areas that aren't perfect, but I think overall this is looking really nice. And because I'm doing this as a demonstrative exercise, I'm just going to cover up some of these areas with trees because that's what you can do. All right, before I do that, I want to do some water. So if you go to the asset menu and you go to other, there is a water cube. This is the best way to currently place water. We hope to have better tools in the future, but actually what I think I might do, let's delete that. I'm going to just create basically a water table. So this is kind of at the center, and let's get this, it looks like it's rotated probably in a good way. Let's make this like 20 feet thick, and then let's do like 1000x. Yeah, so that's almost there. So let's do like 1500 in each direction. It's a little too big, so let's do 1200. And then we just want to move it down just a little bit. Now what that's going to do is I have some areas here, like right here, that has that, it's already cut out. So if I move this up just a little more, so what I want to do is make it so it's almost flush with the surface, but not quite. So let's try -15. That's too much. Let's try this transform gizmo. Alright, so what that's doing is it's giving water in all these depressions, which is what I was looking for. And see here, we could probably extend this out a little bit just to make sure that matches. So let's try link, unlink. That's a bug. Let's do 1300 in each direction. Alright, so now we have some water here. And then I'm also now going to kind of debut our new area tool. This in the future we'll have preset thumbnails like we have in paths. But for now we just have these placeholders. Another cool way to do areas is, and this is paths now as well, but there's an icon on every single asset in the asset library, and if you click on that, then you can create an area from that. So if we wanted to do some trees over here, let's get some of these cool tropic trees, then I can just place these points. You can see how cool that's going to be. I don't think I want to use these trees, so we can change that to, let's do banana, home tree banana 1, and then you can do the spacing and the offset and so on. And then we can turn off our path visualizers down here. So that's the area tool. But I want to use it in this median for grass, and so I'm going to use this preset, and then I'm going to, let's turn on our area visualizer again.
Envisioning the road ahead with every single step, I know an endless length. I need this vision, I can map out in the night, survey the world.
All right, so you can see here now we have 3D grass, which is going to be really nice, but we don't want it to look like that. What we want it to do is go to our areas and select it, and then we can choose what fill percent we want. So let's get something higher fill percent. And then we also can see here it's even draping on that area. So still some cleanup to do here. But let's do our scaling. So let's make it like 0.5. So I think that's going to be a little bit nicer. But now I want to increase the fill percent. And you can see when you zoom out, it's not going to be there as much, and that's because it's using nanite, which is one of the kind of like an LOD system for Unreal Engine. But still looking pretty nice there, and also it draped on this top area. I was thinking it was going to go under it, but that makes sense. But I think I can still do some trees in this higher area as part of that landscaping as well. So, and one thing you can always do as well is double right click and then press F1. And now you're doing explore mode. You'll notice here these edges aren't going to be clean. That's just the way the grass system works. It's just a bunch of clumps of grass. We could do individual pieces of grass, but then it would just completely destroy your computer. So that's an optimization thing. And if you want to, you can kind of make those grass pieces, you can scale them down and make them smaller to clean up those edges. All right, so let's do some landscaping in the middle as well. Again, I like some of these palm trees that we have. Let's see what we've got. All right, this is all subject to change as I work through this. I'm taking artistic license as per usual to build this out in a way that's not going to take too much time, but also is going to look nice. And I think that's already doing that. So we also have all this area out here. I want to do something similar with grass, but I don't want to do the deep stuff. So what I'm going to do is use the same system. Let's turn on our visualizers. And this may slow us down because it's going to be really big, but I'm going to decrease the density as well. So you can imagine it's placing thousands and thousands of pieces of grass, but we're not struggling too much because we're far away. But if we zoom in, we should be able to see those, and there are just so many that that I think it's limiting that. But let's turn off this visualizer and let's change the type of grass. So let's do ryegrass. All right, so this in this area, let's do another fill type thing. And currently you're limited on your size of these areas. If you go too big, it's just going to stop doing it, just to kind of prevent yourself from placing too many pieces of grass and crashing your computer. So what I want to do here is change this from fescue to ryegrass. And then let's change the fill percent. There you go. So now we're getting that organic look without too many individual assets. And when we set up our cameras, then that's gonna really help with what we're trying to do. All right, so now let's do some more trees here in the distance. And I'm gonna try these tropical ones. It's probably not. Let's try something else. You can see how fast that went, but it's not looking very organic. So what we want to do is let's increase our spacing, and let's do enable transform randomization and just increase that. And we can also, let's get there. We want to change the rotation and scale just a little bit. We want to get some more diversity in there, so let's add an asset slot, and then we want to do another maple tree. And now you can see how much that's looking like an actual forest. So we'll do some more transform randomization with these guys. And then come to think of it, this grass isn't looking as good as I thought it was, so let's try something else. Let's go back to the fescue. And then what I'd really like to try and do, if I can, if I have enough relief, is I'd like to put a little water in here just to make it look a little marshy. So let's go to our assets, other, water cube. All right, so you can see how we got that organic marshy look pretty easily. I don't know if there would be maple trees here. Just work with me. We're going to be patient. We're going to figure this out. Now we want to put some over on this quadrant. So let's again go to our asset library, nature trees, find some maple trees.
Building up a future, washing away the pains. 3D views, envisioning the road ahead. With every single step, I know an endless led. I need this vision, like a map out in the night. Survey the world, make it all feel so right. I want this, I need this. Together moving forward, building never fall. Chilling out this groove, got the vision for it all. Smoothing out the cities like a canvas for our fate. Crafting every detail so you know we can create.
All right, so let me just take a breather here to explain what I've been doing. And that's just mostly adding these areas to add all of these trees. And you'll also notice that I placed these trees individually along here. Could have done that with the path, but just did them individually. And it's obviously coming along really well. The landscaping is just kind of stressful for me because I'm not a landscape artist. So apologies to Marvin in advance for the work that I'm doing here. But if I can get away with kind of using some different trees, then maybe I'll do that. These are like these poplar trees. And then we'll get some bushes in there as well. And I also want to note that a lot of the messes that you see the aerial poking through over here, for example, that's less to do with Marvin and the great work he does, and more to do with I just didn't get all the faces flipped like I'd hoped to when I was working on this in SketchUp. So for the most part, I think this is coming along really well, and I'm just going to keep working and placing trees. And then also what I'm going to start doing is placing some parked cars. You can do that very easily by going to Path Presets, doing the traffic peds, doing parked cars, and just like that, you can place parked cars. Now these aren't all fitting there, so what you need to do is just adjust the spacing a little bit, right, something like that. But we don't want them all to be there, so we just need to kind of double our spacing. So let's do like 17.5, and now it's kind of in every other scenario. We could also do another multiple of that, which was like 8.75, so we would be up to like 26 point something. Something kind of like that. And once you get it the way you want to, then you can just place another one, this, and then should grab the settings from the first one. So go to paths, go to the first one, go to copy, and then go to the second one and go to paste. And then you can see here we just need to pull them back a little bit. That way we can make something look kind of random and natural fairly easily. So placed it, I just do paste, and I'll just do this for a few more.
Rolling through the city like a vision in a dream. Plans unfolding, and we plotting on the scene. Blueprints drawn, now we're building up our faith. 3D models laid out, got this spot, can't hesitate. Concrete rhythm, throwing students peanut butter. Layer by layer, yeah, we rising from the clutter. I need this vision.
Alright, so I think I literally just planted trees in parking stalls because I initially messed up what was going on with the materials, but your grace is appreciated as you are patient with me. So got the cars added, got some trees, need to do a little bit more landscaping. So to do that, let's go back to our assets. We want to go to nature shrubs, and let's choose one of these, and let's choose the area tool. So I'm going to try something I've literally never tried this before. Just started playing with the areas tool yesterday. With the first one, let's do copy, and the second one, let's do paste. Nice. So we get those same values. I could have done that before with my trees. That would have sped things up. Either way, we now have that landscaping, and then I want to put some trees down this median island, and I want to use those same poplar trees. So let's collapse shrubs, go to trees, and then go down to the poplar and use a path. And then we got to do this transform randomization. Hopefully in the future we should just make this a default. But essentially we want to offset it just a little bit. And then the scale, just change that a little bit. Spacing is too tight. And then the rotation. Now with all those factors, we've got something much more organic, although I do need to go to paths and then add another node here to just make sure that that's not in the road. There we go. Okay, so now if we could literally use whatever we wanted and then just copy and paste it. So let's put parked cars just to show you. And then go to this one, and then we want to say copy, and then go to this one, and then we want to say paste. Boom. And we could rename that as well. But also trying to keep these things fairly organized, at least in folders. When you're not working them, it's really nice to keep those locked so that those selector icons don't distract too much. And we'll do the same thing here. All right, so I'm going to go back down, double right click F1, and now we're getting an idea of how this is looking with all of our trees and our cars. Our frame rate's being affected a little bit because we've got so much stuff going on, but it's coming along, and I think we now need to move to vehicle paths. So we'll do that, and then I'll come back and check in with you. And again, to place vehicle paths, just want to go to our path presets, and then select the one that you want. Let's do traffic no trucks, just because our truck articulation isn't perfect yet. And then we can turn on our visualizers if we want, and then we just place these nodes one node at a time. All right, and then when you're done, you just right click to discontinue the path. And you can see here we've got our path now. We turn off our visualizers, turn on our traffic. You'll see the traffic come along. You can see here we've got that subtle wear path that really adds, I think, to the visualization as well. So we can also slow down. Let's go find this traffic. Let's slow down the speed. By default it is 50, so let's do 27. I try and use random values as much as possible, just because then you don't get cars that are locked in step side by side. And then I turn the volume down as well. Now I can place the rest of the path. So I'll do that and then I'll check back in.
Civil engineering, throwing lines that intertwine. Grinding hard, yeah, you know this is prime time. Transportation dreams, yeah, we're pushing through the lanes. Building up a future, washing away the pains. 3D views, envisioning the road ahead. With every single step, I know an endless led. I need this vision, like a map out in the night. Survey the world, make it all feel so right. I want this, I need this.
Alright, so we've got most of the traffic placed, at least the vehicles. Now we can speed that up to see how it's working. And if your volumes are low enough, you shouldn't get too many conflicts. We can work on intersection controllers perhaps, but for the most part, I think this is kind of how we want it to be. Alright, and then we want to set up some we want to do pedestrians. So the easiest and fastest way is just to do ped shared use. Then you get your cyclists, your joggers, and your scooterers, all in one swath. Let's turn the visualizers on. There's a lot going on once we have our areas, especially. Survey the world, make it all feel so right. I want this, I need this. All right, so I'm gonna do a little bit more tweaking and then I'll come back and wrap this up. All right, so this is how it turned out. This overall thing took me a shade under 2 hours. And I think that's pretty great, especially for the level of quality that we had. Shout out again to Marvin Classen and his team at Classen Graphics for the use of this incredible model. Link in the notes to check them out. Make sure to check out Civil Engine, beyondcad.com/Civil Engine. If this is already past May, start a free trial or schedule a demo with us. We'd love to show you what this can do for your own projects. My name is Sam Lytle. I am the founder of BeyondCAD Incorporated. I'm the creator of Civil Engine, and I will talk to you in the next one.